Welcome to the Church Communications Podcast, a podcast that celebrates church communicators that are around the world. Our podcast offers practical advice for your church communication strategy needs. And this podcast is brought to you by Katie Allred and Josh Taylor of churchcommunications.com.
Hey, welcome to the Church Communications Podcast. I'm Josh Taylor, and I'm here with Katie Allred.
What's up?
How are you today, Katie?
I'm hanging in there. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. We are talking about online giving and why churches should care about the software that they use, especially communication staff and really church staff in general, because a lot of churches don't have a communication staff. And so their staff should really care about what software they're using.
But if you're a pastor, aren't you communication staff?
Sure.
But you're the only communicator. Like, the pastor is the number one church communicator.
There he is.
But then, also other people. So let's just, go right into it,
Yeah, so there's a lot of benefits for different online giving software. And there's a lot of software that are out there, and some of them offer a lot of different features. Some of them have features that others don't have, and vice versa.
So which should you pick?
Yeah, you should really figure out what your church needs. What are the needs of your staff?
Right. What do you want?
Yeah. What are you looking for?
Just like Ryan Gosling in The Notebook. What do you want?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to pay either way, so don't look for the one that's free, because I don't think that one exists. But there is worthwhile investments, and then there are some things that are probably a waste of your time and money. So we're going to talk to you about why you should care about what software you're using, and figure out which one is the best one for you.
Okay. So what do you think the benefits are of using online software?
We live in a here and now culture. So instantly, so we want to do things instantly.
Right.
Most people don't carry their checkbooks around.
Right.
Most people don't carry cash around. And so they've got their credit cards. Depending on how you feel about credit card kiosks in the lobby, some people are kind of weird about it. I might be one of those people, but I don't judge anybody that does. But I do think... I'm a fan
of the kiosk in the lobby.
That's cool.
I used it.
Yeah, so there you go. That's cool. I've actually never seen one at a church that I visited before.
Oh, really?
No. But we do have ways that we can allow people to give online instantly in our churches.
Right.
Through text to give
or
and through
just
online
like an
portals,
online portal,
through your website. And so that's a great benefit. People want to do it there now. They're not carrying their checkbooks or cash around. And oftentimes they may feel moved by a message, or just the Spirit is leading them to give in that moment. And it's a great opportunity for them to be able to do that and respond immediately to that. And maybe there's a challenge in your church that your pastor or your staff give to the congregation. And I think you could see a better return if you can allow people to respond to that challenge immediately.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Kindred is obviously sponsoring this podcast. Obviously, they're a giving solution, but they gave us some really neat stats I just wanted to share with y'all. So they said, this is from Kindred, it says, a typical church's annual budget is equal to their average weekly attendance multiplied by 1,400. So on average, Kindred finds that churches only pay between 1.5% and 2.8% on all fees on their digital giving. So, I think the biggest question that churches have or the biggest thing that stops them from using an online giving provider is the payment processing fee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think we just have to get over it, don't you?
That's the biggest pushback that I get. Even when we were implementing into the church, I had some pushback from some of our leadership because, you would even look at our budget after a few years of using it, and they would see how much we were spending in online giving fees, and it was a good chunk of change. It was thousands of dollars that we were spending on it. But the reality and the question that we had to ask is, how much would we not have budget-wise if we did not allow people to do that?
Yeah.
Because people are taking advantage of that. They have it automatically drafted out of their account. It's just a lot more convenience and convenient for folks. And so I see the online giving fees as an investment for your budget, because you're going to see a return on it.
Almost all churches find that their giving increases once they start using an online giving provider.
We live in a world of convenience. That makes it so much more convenient. And the reality is, again, people are not carrying their credit card, their cash and checkbooks around.
Right. So they're not giving in the bucket or the donation
Right.
plate as much. And we're not putting, a slicer on the donation plate as we pass by.
That will happen soon.
No, I'm sure that people have already invented that.
We're going to start passing
but I think
iPads
that it
around with the
doesn't make
square
sense.
thing on it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, I already have Apple Pay on my phone. Why can't I just give automatically from that, right?
Yeah.
So just figuring out ways that we can
need a reason to buy iPads.
Yeah, right. We need 200 iPads for every row in the church.
That's right.
No, that's not a good reason to donate to your church. Okay, so back to the stats here.
Yeah, these are really interesting.
Okay, so 45% of all giving happens digitally. Okay, so all giving, 45%, nearly half of it happens online.
So imagine this: you've got a $1 million budget, which is probably the average for the average sized church in this country. A $1 million budget, $450,000 are giving digitally. To your budget,
which is wild.
Yeah, that means people are using your online giving for $450,000 of your budget.
Yeah, it's almost like, for the longest time, most websites were viewed on a desktop, and now they're viewed mobile, right? So most users are viewing your website mobile, so that's why it's so important to make sure your website's mobile friendly. Well, it's the same thing now with giving. Instead of I'm reaching for cash in my wallet, I'm instead reaching for my phone to pay you. Giving solution that inspires generosity without blowing through your budget? Kindred's offering a totally free $0 per month online giving account for our church communications listeners. That's right, you get online giving for free.
Look, this is a special offer, so act fast. Go to kindred.com/churchcommunications to join. That's kindrid.com/churchcommunications, and you can join there.
Okay, so Kindred believes generosity is one of the most powerful witnesses to the gospel. It transforms communities. We believe that too. That's why they created this deal. They make it affordable for you to equip 100% of your church to participate in your vision.
Remember, this offer won't last long, so go to kindred.com/churchcommunications and save thousands with an exclusive deal.
Yeah, we can't wait. Okay, so the next one is 22% of digital giving is bank giving, so ACH payments.
Yeah, and this is important too because one, usually the processing fees are cheaper for ACH giving, and
sometimes
people
free.
Like to have it drafted out of their bank account automatically every month, so they don't have to think about it, they don't have to remember to do it, which is really great for you because that's oftentimes giving that you can really count on to be there every month.
Right. It says 55% of digital giving comes in online. So 55% of digital giving comes in via your web portal.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Through your website. Okay, so if people aren't going to the giving page on your website, I think that tells you that something's going on with the church as a whole almost.
Well, a lot of times they're not doing it because they can't find the giving button on your website.
Where is it? Is it in your top menu?
You should make that a significant part of your top menu and make it very obvious to find.
Yeah.
Giving, donate now, whatever it might be. Honestly, when we finally did that, people came to me and actually said, thank you for making that button so much easier to find because we were always trying to figure out where the Give Now button was.
Yeah, what are the two call to actions I think for a church website? I think one is time and directions, like I'm new here, I need times and directions, or two, I am not new here, I am a congregant and I want to give.
Yeah.
I almost feel like those two things are the most important thing about a church website.
Yeah, most of your congregants are going to your website because they want to give, maybe to watch a sermon or something like that, but most of the time they're going to give, and then your new people are coming because they need to figure out what to do when they visit you Sunday.
Or even give and sign up for an event. Most of these also, payment processors online also, they do event registration, right?
Yeah.
So that's also a big part of these. So it says 45% of digital giving comes in via text. So, when you're making up your mind about whether or not what giving platform I should go with, you might really want to consider, does this giving platform have text to give? Where you get a dedicated phone number, you get a phone number of some sort, you text in a keyword, and you can set up probably campaigns, for giving for specific things, right?
Yep. Yeah, you can designate gifts easily that way through keywords. And this is a really great thing to do if you're going to have an immediate call to action. Maybe you're raising money for, you're doing a capital campaign or something like that. Hey, you guys can give right now. I want to challenge you guys to pull out your phones right now and text this keyword to this number and give what you can.
Yeah.
It's a great call to action.
Okay, so on average, a person gives $280 a month. So the average church member gives $280 a month. It says $126 is the average of gift by text. So if you're not using the text giving, you're missing out on that.
Yep.
And then $237 is the average gift online. Okay, so twice that of a text gift. So just because I don't even trust text to gift, honestly, myself. I always wonder where it's coming from. Like, is it going to take me to a web portal at the end of it, or is it going to come from my Verizon wireless bill? It doesn't do that. Most of the time, what I've found, when I worked at the church I was working at previously, it redirected you to a web portal.
Okay. That's right, yeah.
And I think most of them end up doing that, right? But it's still, like, kind of, to me, it's kind of confusing. So I get where, like, people are more hesitant to give as much just because they're kind of confused. Like, if I say $100, am I, like, are you charging $100 to Verizon Wireless, or are you, like, redirecting? And then by the time it's redirecting me to a web portal, I'm like, oh, I guess I could have get more, but I'm confused.
Like your tithing's up on your Verizon bill.
Right. So maybe you should, like, explain that when you do have text of giving. Maybe just explain it a little bit.
Hey, it's going to send you back a link to
Right. It's going to send you a link.
Website.
It's going to be super easy. You know, those kind of things. I think that would be super helpful. Okay, and the last fact is 57% of online giving happens on a phone.
Yeah, that makes sense because most people are looking at our websites on their phones, and so you need to make sure whatever software that you're using, that their portal is mobile friendly and it's very easy to see. And I mean, because a lot of us are using maybe a plugin from PayPal or something like that, and they have mobile friendly software for that, but we'll often embed the wrong code and it doesn't respond to mobile. So make sure whatever software you're using, make sure it's mobile friendly because a lot of giving is happening on the phone. In fact, it looks like a good bit of giving is happening from people's phones. Yeah. One of the other reasons why I always found our software important for giving is, for me, I was the executive pastor, and I was often helping with counting the money every month or every week. And so on Monday mornings, we would sit down and we would count what was given in the Joy Box. Obviously, we didn't have to do whatever was given online.
The Joy Box.
Yeah, that's what we called it. We had boxes set up. We didn't pass the offering plate, but I was able to manually input cash gifts and check gifts into that same portal, and so I had all of the giving in one place. All of our online giving, I didn't have to worry about. It was already there, and then I could put in those manual gifts every week into there, and be able to really just pull up reports immediately of what our giving looks like.
And something, too, that I love about online giving software is the ability to generate those receipts automatically. I think that's going to be extremely important. Yeah. Just because how important it is just to communicate to your people, like, we saw that, and we see you, and we appreciate you. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking more about that this season because that is a great way to keep people engaged with investing in your community.
All right.
Well, cool. You should look into what online giving software you're using, and you should care. So do your research, figure out what is the biggest needs for your church and your staff. Maybe you're the person that's going to be dealing with all of it. So figure out what it is that's important to you. Do your research and
leave us a comment below with who you're using, like who is your provider and what do you like best about them. We'd love to just find out, and so just leave us a comment, tag them, or maybe even tag your person, right? Like your support person at that company. Would love to just give them some support and just would love to hear from you. And you can go to our Church Communications Facebook group. You can find our Facebook page. You can go to churchcommunications.com just to learn more. And we're so glad that you were here with us today. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes if you enjoyed it. And thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Our friends at Kindred are being crazy generous. If you tweet @_Kindred, again, that is @KINDRID_Kindred, and tell them why you need a church app, they'll make sure you get one of those too for free. Okay? Did you hear that? Online giving and a church app for free. Just tweet @_Kindred and tell them why you need a church app.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Church Communications Podcast with Katie Allred and myself, Josh Taylor. If you like our show and want to know more about us, check out our website, churchcommunications.com. You can also join us on our Facebook group. Just search for Church Communications on Facebook, and we would love for you to leave a 5-star review on iTunes.